March 8th, 2014. A warm, humid night in Kuala Lumpur. A Boeing 777, one of the safest and most trusted aircraft in the world, taxied down the runway, lights glowing against the darkness. On board were 239 people, fathers, mothers, children, friends, all of them heading towards Beijing, expecting nothing more than a routine 6-hour flight. But less than an hour later, the plane would vanish. No mayday call, no signal of distress, just silence. Tonight, we are unveiling the haunting mystery of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, the plane that disappeared without a trace, and the mystery that has obsessed investigators, families, and conspiracy theorists for more than a decade.
We are still investigating all possibilities as to what caused MH370 to deviate from its original flight path.
It began just after midnight. Flight MH370 rolled across the tarmac of Kuala Lumpur International Airport. At the controls, Captain Zahir Ahmad Asa, a 53-year-old veteran with over 18,000 hours of flying experience, calm, meticulous, respected by his peers. Beside him sat First Officer Fabrik Abdul Hamid, just 27 years old, a promising young pilot only weeks away from completing his certification on the Boeing 777. The passengers represented a cross-section of the world. Businessmen from China, families from Malaysia, students, tourists, even an Australian couple returning from a vacation. There were also 20 employees of a tech company, Freescale Semiconductor, whose presence would later fuel conspiracy theories. At 12:41 a.m., the jet lifted smoothly into the night sky. The weather? Calm. The flight path? Direct. Everything normal. The climb was uneventful, and by 1:08 a.m., MH370 reached its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The cabin crew began preparing for meal service. Passengers settled in, some falling asleep, others scrolling through in-flight entertainment. At 1:19 a.m., the final words were heard from the cockpit. Good night. Malaysian 370, spoken calmly by Captain Sahari. It was standard procedure when transferring from Malaysian to Vietnamese air traffic control. Then, silence. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It's 100% free and it helps us tremendously making videos like this one. And now back to the video. Air traffic controllers expected the jet to check in with Vietnam within minutes, but MH370 never did. Instead, on civilian radar, the blip representing the Boeing 777 simply vanished. Initially, controllers assumed that it was a technical glitch. Aircraft sometimes temporarily drop off screens if transponders malfunction. But just minutes later, Malaysian military radar painted a very different picture. MH370 had not disappeared, it had turned. The plane executed a sharp left bank, cutting back across the Malaysian peninsula. It descended slightly, following waypoints used only by pilots. Then it flew up the Strait of Malacca, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, moving as though whoever controlled it knew exactly what they were doing. Civilian radars saw nothing. The aircraft's transponder, the electronic beacon that identifies planes to air traffic control, had been switched off deliberately, but the military, watching silently, saw every move. At 2:22 a.m., the plane vanished from military radar as well, heading toward the open ocean, and from that moment, MH370 truly disappeared. When MH370 failed to arrive in Beijing at 6:30 a.m., families waiting at the airport grew anxious. Screens displayed the dreaded word delayed. Airline officials scrambled for information. Was it a technical issue? A diversion? Hours ticked by before the world learned the unthinkable. Flight MH370 was missing. News spread like wildfire. Media outlets across the globe carried the story. How could a Boeing 777, a massive 242-foot-long aircraft, just vanish? The Malaysian government launched a search, joined quickly by other nations. At first, they scoured the South China Sea, where the plane was expected to be. Dozens of ships, aircraft, and satellites were mobilized. Nothing. Not a single trace. Days later, the shocking military radar data was released. MH370 had not flown northeast toward Beijing, but had turned west, flying for hours in the opposite direction. This revelation shifted the entire search to a completely different part of the world. The plane had traveled somewhere far out into the Indian Ocean, one of the most remote, desolate places on Earth. How do we know this? The answer lies in satellite handshakes. Brief, automated pings sent between the aircraft and the satellite owned by Inmarsat. Even though the plane's transponder was off, its satellite communication system continued sending hourly handshakes to the satellite network. These pings revealed that MH370 had kept flying for 7 more hours after disappearing from radar. Each ping showed the plane's approximate distance from the satellite, drawing a series of arcs across the globe. And at 8:19 a.m., the final handshake came, then silenced forever. The arcs pointed south into the emptiest stretch of the Indian Ocean. That became the focus of the search. Imagine the horror for families. Their loved ones had been alive for hours after the plane disappeared, flying further and further away into nowhere. The search for MH370 became the largest, most expensive hunt in aviation history. Dozens of nations joined. Ships and aircraft swept vast stretches of ocean. Underwater drones scanned the seabed. Even satellites tried to capture floating debris. At its peak, the search area covered 120,000 square kilometers, an area nearly the size of Greece. Yet, month after month, nothing appeared. The Indian Ocean, with its shifting currents and immense depth, swallowed all evidence. By 2015, families were losing hope. Then suddenly a breakthrough. On the remote island of Reunion, east of Madagascar, a fisherman discovered a barnacle-encrusted piece of wreckage. It was confirmed as part of the MH370's wing, a flaperon. Over the next few years, more fragments washed ashore in Tanzania, Mozambique, and Mauritius. Interior panels, engine parts, even a section of the tail. But the main wreckage, the black boxes and the bodies of the passengers, never found. And this is where the story darkens, because without answers, the world turned to theories. Was it a mechanical disaster? Hijacking? Was it pilot suicide? There are also more extreme theories, from secret landings on hidden runways to alien abductions. MH370 has become a magnet for the wildest speculations, but none hold weight. For the families, every day since has been torture. In Beijing, relatives camped in hotels for months, demanding answers. The lack of closure, the uncertainty, the endless waiting, it broke many lives apart. Some cling to hope that their loved ones are alive, hidden away. Others beg simply for remains to bury for an end to the endless limbo. What makes MH370's mystery so haunting is the setting, the ocean. The southern Indian Ocean is one of the most desolate regions on the planet. Stormy seas, deep trenches, unpredictable currents. Searching there is like trying to find a single car in an area the size of Europe, underwater. And the seabed itself, some places plunge nearly 6 kilometers deep. That's deeper than the wreck of the Titanic. Over a decade later, the disappearance of MH370 remains unsolved. A plane vanishes, hundreds of people gone, wreckage scattered across distant shores, and the black box that still lies perhaps somewhere in the darkness below. In our age of satellites, smartphones, and global surveillance, how can a plane with 239 people simply disappear? Was it a mechanical failure, a deliberate act, or something far more sinister? Until the wreckage is found, the truth will remain buried beneath waves, guarded by the ocean. What do you believe happened to the MH370? Let me know your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of mysteries, crimes, and conspiracies that continue to haunt our world.